rationale behind it. Is it the best for the country? The eyes will continue to look at the pros and cons as I welcome my colleagues, Abulo Semuagu and Tevetia.
Amechi, good morning. Good morning, dear listener. Well, I think Nigerian security agencies should be happy enough that the UK, the US, Denmark, and other countries who are issuing security alerts are also helping them gather intelligence. And they should take advantage of that and stop denying that things are not happening. You know, when the Kuje incident happened, Garba Shehu was with the president was traveling, and the president branched over. And he defended the president by saying that even though there is security attack, governance must go on. Yeah, we know governance must go on. But I expect the authorities to admit that yes, there is a security threat in the Federal Capital Territory. If not, a big mall like the one we had yesterday shutting down. If not, some schools will not be shutting down. We know, although some schools are on midterm break, if the security threat is not true, some persons will not be asked to work from home. If the security threat is not true, the FCT Police Command will not dole out 60 vehicles to support the police operations. If the security situation is not true, Teve and Amechi, the roads will not be as empty in the Federal Capital Territory as we have experienced in the last 2 days. So we call on the authorities to beat their chest and say, yes, these things are there, but we are tackling it. Instead of coming out to say Nigerians can go ahead, if anything happens on the street or to somebody or to your loved one, what will you say? Oh, the government had told me nothing is. Well, we are not in support of persons locking themselves in the room, in the house, without going to look for their daily bread. But we are saying government or security agencies should admit that yes, there are attacks. They are scared.
I think, Abulo, they are not denying the fact that there are some threats.
The IG said it today, this morning.
But they are saying they are monitoring, they have the information even before the foreign missions do, but they are doing everything possible to snub the life.
David cautioned me the other day that when I said, why don't our own agencies inform us about this security scare or these threats, while waiting for foreign agencies, foreign missions in Nigeria to tell us before we act. And he had his reasons. But you know, you cannot have 100% agreement with whatever statement government makes. People must speak wholes. And we are speaking on behalf of the Nigerian people and saying this is what it should be. Let us know. At least we'll also be cautious.
But you know, I said at the beginning that the DSS issues security advisory and warnings.
How many of those ones do you get as a Nigerian? But the UK issued its own, is all over the media. If the DSS issues, how many do you get? How many times do you get it?
Do we regard it? That's the question I asked.
And that is another point.
Yes, they issue. They issue. Several of them. Do we regard it? Do we stay on it the way we do when foreign missions also issue their own?
That's the same reason why you have Japa, people Japaing, because you don't believe in your own. You don't believe in where God has dropped you as a Nigerian. That is why people keep going abroad. The Denmark is better, the UK is better, the Scotland is better than our own Nigeria. So we must begin to regard our own, appreciate our own. The security forces are doing very well. Let's appreciate them first, appreciate the advisories they issue to us before we go jumping and taking the UK and US seriously.
Amechi, good morning to you. Good morning, listener. Indeed, it's a very serious issue we have at hand when you're talking security matters. There are a lot of concerns. This same discussion we're having here in Abuja and indeed in Nigeria is the same discussion that is ongoing in South Africa. The same US Embassy in South Africa has issued a terror alert and threat. They are more specific in South Africa. They said there will be an attack in Johannesburg this weekend. The presidency.
There may be
an attack in Johannesburg this weekend, and the presidency is reacting. The opposition parties and everybody. The difference perhaps is in the fact that, you know, the opposition there took it up and said, look, the US should be more forthcoming with details. And what did the embassy say? Say no, they don't have any other details apart from what they've given. This morning, the IG is ordering that they should activate all emergency lines across the country, so that his men will be responding 24 hours, assuring people in the FCT, you know, and you know, all of that. Definitely issues of security, everybody will be cautious. There are some persons who will act in a panicky way. There are some persons who would, you know, with all apprehension, you know, and all of that. It's understood, just like we keep advising, whether there is a threat, an alert, you know, whatever travel advice, whatever it is, whether there is or there is not, you have to, you know, be security conscious at every material point in time. That's the reason why if you go to some neighborhoods, they've come together, you know, put up certain security measures, you know, to ensure that, you know, they protect themselves, their families, their lives and property, as it were. And that's what we encourage all Nigerians to do. With what the police is saying, what the DSS and every other person is saying, it means they acknowledge the fact, you know, that we have a challenge and all of that, and they are working round the clock. That's one thing you cannot take away. Mechi, on my way to the office this morning, just close to the Aso Rock, the Villa roundabout, you know, some military men have stopped I think about 2 or 3 trucks of young men, you know, asked them to come down, you know, and all of that.
That's around Villa roundabout.
Yes.
Would they also stop them around the Irawan roundabout?
If they see them, I'm sure they will. You know,
Well,
I'm sure they are waiting for maybe some security vehicles to evacuate them, you know, and all of that. That goes to show that there is much work is being done. And I think we need to believe that, you know, much work is being done and all of that. My concern is what the police, the FCT Police Command, saying, look, the reported operation in Lugbe was fake news. It's a concern for many persons. That gave some level of confidence, you know, that look, something is being done. These guys are on it. I don't know which part of the report they are saying is fake news, whether the US soldiers were part of it. Even myself, I had doubts whether the US soldiers who accompanied DSS to go for a house search. I had doubts about that, but whether there was an operation, the operation itself that they are saying is fake, I don't know which elements of that. But the residents of Abuja and Nigerians in general, you can be sure. You can be sure with what we are seeing that the security personnel are, let me use their words, they are on top of the situation this time. It's evident, it's obvious. So just like Bulu also said, in the FCT, vehicles have been provided to them. Even though some of us advocate that we should go technology-wise, instead of depending on the show of force, carrying guns left, right, and intelligence.
Stop and search.
Stop and search.
Stop, open your boot,
and you know, we can do much more with creativity and intelligence, technology than that, but we have not gotten to that point. This is where we are.
Because so, it's from stop, open your boot that it will now become weight you carry.
You know, as Stephen said, the South Africa issue, Michi, you know very well that each time an election is approaching, especially if the incumbent is not contesting, there's always this scare. Apart from the insurgency that has been on and the banditry, the US and UK always feel that election in Africa is characterized by violence, characterized by certain things that can unsettle the citizens in the state. Probably that's why they are acting ahead of time, so that the electoral umpire and the security agencies can be on their feet. They can be alert at any point in time. And it's also good for us because look at now, the police wouldn't have gotten 60 vehicles, but they've gotten 60 vehicles.
I'm sure those were not bought in 24 hours.
Yes.
Certainly not. But the process
processes were, and nothing. What?
It will be make them to fast track the bureaucracy. That is,
yeah, absolutely. We do issue travel advisory to our citizens. I mentioned one that came this year from the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, telling Nigerians, especially students in Cyprus, not to move close to northern Cyprus, they call it. They elevated and explained all the threats there and tried to guide Nigerians on how they could remain there if, of course, they can move around exist if they must remain there. So nothing also stops Nigerian embassy.
Unfortunately, in such countries, do you have the media promoting such Nigerian advisories? Do you have?
Well,
You are not there, so you wouldn't.
Yes, you would
No,
know.
but we'll get information.
Yes. Then in US, what stops Nigerian government from issuing travel advisory? Whenever I get to New York, I don't even need travel advisory to know that, there are some places in Brooklyn I cannot move into. There are some places in Bronx I can move into. So, but it's now left for the Nigerian mission there. The Nigerian mission, if you go there for one assistant, they won't even talk to you. Not to talk of issuing travel advisory. They don't have time for you, and it's replicated in most missions. It's just few missions that want to provide the services that are there, to which they are being paid taxpayers' money to do. So if they issue travel advisory, there are more mothers in New York than perhaps in some major cities in Nigeria. If the Nigerian mission in New York feels that this area is volatile, they should issue it on the website. Advising Nigerians don't go there, because every government has a duty to protect the lives of its citizens. What they do, it may not be pleasing to you, but they have that responsibility. So if they issue to us, we should also, when we have the opportunity, issue.
That is the
against
constitution is signed at inauguration. You signed for the protection of life and property of
Absolutely.
citizens.
So when we neglect our own functions and they do their own, who do we blame? Let's take a break.
Maybe
Okay.
just before the break, one thing I'm sure our security agencies will also aware, and it's part of the things they will take into cognizance. There's been recent dislodge of the ISIS leadership and camps in northern Syria, and across the world, everybody is apprehensive. You know that they might want to look for a safe haven where they can camp. You know, and all of that. So all of this needs to be put in the mix, and we need to be more alert than before now, because the fact that we know they have a cell in whether in Nigeria or in West Africa, it should be of concern.
In the West Africa ISWAP, right?
Yes, it should be of
Okay.
concern.
We'll now go for a break. When we come back, your mails and the Naira issue. Stay with us.
On your